Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, I want to thank and congratulate once again the sponsor, her staff, the Speaker, and also our guests, the Chancellor, the Commissioner, and the Deputy Commissioner for the incredible amount of work that has gone into creating this legislation. Madam Speaker, I was wondering if the sponsor would yield for just a couple of quick questions.
Yes.
Kathy, a couple of quick questions. I indicated to you in a previous conversation that I'm disappointed that the for-profit schools will no longer be allowed to grow. There will be no new for-profit schools. But just for clarification and follow-up on Mr. Conti's question, where he used the term grandfathered, those existing 14 for-profit schools that you referred to in your opening remarks will be able to reapply for existence after their charter is up.
Yes.
Thank you. Secondly, I just want, for clarification purposes, to get a better understanding with regard to the authorizers. As you know, the Charter School Institute at SUNY is a nationally recognized authorizer and has been a model in a lot of ways for other authorizing entities throughout the country. Does this bill maintain SUNY's power to issue charters as they do right now?
The bill provides for an RFP process for both the SUNY Charter Institute and the State Board of Regents. It sends, as I said earlier, a legislative intent, if you will, that these new schools be developed in a way that reflects demand, needs, certain at-risk groups, etc.
So the SUNY recommendations will be honored by the Board of Regents, because I'm concerned that on page 6, lines 40 through 44, it refers to the Board of Regents shall be the only entity authorized to issue a charter. Does that mean that the Board of Regents has veto power over the CSI?
I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole, you know. These educational people, bless them all, they'll be, I'm sure, many vigorous discussions. The intent is what I said. The current law, the Regents, as a very historic and important body in our state, are ultimately the chartering entity for any educational institution, anything of learning. But yes, we've made it clear, and I will say this was not my preference, but in the interests of cooperation and moving forward, I will say, if the gentleman will permit me, because of my long service in the legislature, I was upset when we did the initial bill that the SUNY trustees who have no experience in K through 12 education became a chartering entity. As you may remember, Governor Pataki at that time felt that that was the best way for him to have these innovative programs. I am not as familiar perhaps as the gentleman is, because they've only come over to see me and the committee once in my tenure. Having said that, in the spirit of cooperation and in the desire to level the playing field and have both chartering entities create an RFP, in the desire to work with our colleagues in the Senate, in the desire to work with the governor, and I think we all know that a bill in this House is always the product of hard work and compromise. Both entities will continue to operate, but in this instance, going forward, there will be RFPs, which for me gave me a comfort level to accept the compromise that allows the SUNY trustees to continue. People of goodwill can disagree as to what is the best method to go about chartering schools. And in my opinion, Madam Speaker, it's unfortunate that so much of the debate has had that kind of acrimonious tone that somehow if you have a question or you think you have a preference or you support the historic role of the Board of Regents, that somehow you are perhaps incorrect. It's a free country. Everyone can say what they wish, of course. That's one of our great strengths. But in my opinion, I would have preferred that the regents be the chartering entity, end of story, but that is not what the bill does. And in the spirit of cooperation and the great leadership of Chancellor Tisch and the reinvigorated leadership at the State Education Department, everyone has agreed to move forward. I certainly look forward at some future date towards having a second meeting with Mr. Chartock, who did come over, was very pleasant, very amenable, very amiable, rather, and look forward to hearing about all the things I read about all the wonderful work that they do.
Thank you. So I guess I continue to be concerned about this particular language that says that the regents shall be the only entity authorized.
There's no reason for the gentleman to be concerned if the gentleman wants the SUNY Board of Trustees to continue to be a chartering entity. Both entities will create the RFP separately. They will, that was another compromise on our part, they will continue to have a major role in this process. There is no desire in this bill or on the part of the Assembly to minimize the involvement of these people in any way. I gave you my personal preference and pointed out that no bill is perfect. No bill is only one person's vision. I suggested to you that though I had a different point of view, I was willing, and many members were willing, to compromise on this issue. I in no way suggested that there should be any concerns if your point of view is that they should continue to charter and steer schools and groups to charter. There is no diminution. I'm so tired I can't pronounce a word more than 3 syllables. There's no shortage of their ability, I guess we'll say, to charter schools.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On the bill, I'm pleased to hear that the sponsor apparently has agreed that the Board of Regents does not have veto power over the authorizing of schools by the Charter School Institute at SUNY. That clarification was very important, and I thank the sponsor for her.